And hello, everyone. How are you doing? It's Dave Bondy. Great to see all of you. Thank you for being here. And for those of you who are new, thank you. Go ahead and follow me and become a paid subscriber wherever you're watching right now. If you're watching on Locals, if you're watching on Substack or on X, click the button to become a paid subscriber. I can't keep doing this independent journalism without your support. It's less than $1 a week to support my mission of what I'm doing. Thank you. We are live on YouTube right now as well. YouTube, Twitch, X, Locals, Substack, and Rumble. We're live on all of those platforms, and it's great to see all of you here. But I cannot keep doing this work without you, the paid subscribers. Thank you, everybody, for being here. So we are immediately going to get an update on the situation that is happening in Boston, Massachusetts, and Providence, Rhode Island. I don't know if many of you have been following this story or not. There was a mass shooting at Brown University in Rhode Island this past Saturday. Well, now it looks like they have linked the shooting to a professor at MIT. And I believe MIT is in Boston or right near Boston. I apologize if I got that wrong. But it looks like now they are linking the shooting. They're linking the shooting to one guy, and it appears to be this guy right here on the screen. Don't know anything about him, but this appears to be the person of interest or suspect in this case. Now, the law enforcement, they've been having a tough time. They've been having some problems lately. And if you've been following this case, you know that they've been having some issues and they haven't been able to pin down a suspect. Well, now it looks like they are very close to finding the person involved. There has been an arrest warrant that has been issued, but it has not been made public yet. So we don't know exactly who the person is or the name of the person. Yes, he walks like you, Jordan. Sorry, one of our viewers watching. Hello, Nani. How are you doing? Good to see you. One of our viewers over on Locals says that he walks just like that guy. Well, I hope you're not him because you are a wanted. You're wanted for murder. That's what you're wanted for. Several murders, 3 people shot and killed. So that's exactly the update we're having on this situation. I'll keep you updated during the show if we learn any new information coming out of Boston, coming out of the East Coast. I'll keep you updated and let you know if we're learning any more information about that case. Our main story tonight is something that parents, if you're a parent, even if you're not a parent, this is going to be something that is going to be very, very interesting. So do you think if you have a kid under the age of 18, do you think that you as a parent should be notified if they go to a doctor, if they go to a mental health counselor? Do you as a parent think you have a right to be told about that? Well, in the state of Michigan, if the kid is over the age of 14, you do not have that right. You do not in many situations. There's some caveats with that, but some instances you don't. So that leads us to tonight's story. In Northville, Michigan, they are putting a mental health facility in connection to a middle school. So they're putting this mental health facility connected to a middle school, okay? And people from the community are going to be able to use this mental health facility right next to the school. And it's not next to the school, it's attached to the school. Students will also be able to use this mental health facility. But in Michigan, parents don't necessarily have to be told if their children are getting mental health services, medical services. That's a big concern that a lot of parents have. If I'm a parent and I want to know if my kids, I'm looking at my 8-year-old right here. Did you win? I'll show you what to do next. I want to know what's going on with them. Now, this only would happen to be over the age of 14. For those of you in Michigan, you might know this. For those of you who have those apps on your phone where you can get your medical records, you're not allowed to get your kids' medical records if they're over the age of 13 without your kids signing off on it. your kid needs to give you permission to do it. So the parents are worried that this medical, um, not medical, but this mental health center is going to lead to parents not being as informed. Okay, that's their concern. That's their allegations. Also, they're concerned that the Northville, Michigan school district, the Northville, Michigan school district, did not give parents enough time to learn about this. They released the information Monday evening and they voted on it Tuesday evening. Jordan, you're right about that, Jordan. You're absolutely right. Scott Stillwell, the child can sign off. Yes, the child can sign off on permission, but the child does not have to. The child can say, Dad, Mom, I don't want you to know. I'm going to a mental health counselor and I'm not going to tell you. They don't have to. In the school doesn't have to tell either. So anyway, Scott Stillwell, you're right. Anyone watching on Substack right now, go ahead and write in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. If you agree with this, if you don't agree with this, either way. I think everyone would agree that we have a mental health crisis in the United States. And here in the state of Michigan, where I am, we have major problems. That is something I think everyone can agree on. I am not taking a stance on this. I try to keep my opinion out of things. But as a parent, I would like to know exactly what's going on with my kids. And that is how Matthew Wilk feels. Matthew Wilk is a parent. He has two kids in the Northville, Michigan public school system. He also used to be on the school board, and he is very active in working with parents and other school board members to try to tell them, what their rights are and to try to get parents involved in the schools. I talked to him just a short time ago about all of this, and he's going to explain exactly what's going on. And I want you to go ahead and comment in the comments. You should be able to comment and let me know what you are thinking about all of this. Someone watching on YouTube right now just gave that kind of face. You can see on the screen right there. That's the Paris just gave that kind of face. I'm sure that's like a whoa face, I think, right? Like a whoa face. Not sure. Nani says reason 5,832 of why homeschooling is the last safe place for children. Well, that's true. More and more kids, more and more parents are homeschooling their kids, and it's the reasons why, because of these type of things, that parents are saying it because they want to have control, and they feel as if the school district is taking that control away. So I want to go ahead and play my interview with Matthew Wilk. Take a close listen to this and go ahead and comment on the screen. You can write a comment and I'll highlight your comment as well. Take a listen. Everyone, take a look at your screen right here. Matthew Wilk, a concerned parent in the Northville School District. We've had him on several times before. He's very involved in parents' rights and just getting to transparency in schools. It's good to have you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, I saw something that you posted, and several others did as well, but you were the main one about a middle school in Northville. And I guess it's really confusing. So it on the front, it looks like they're going to have a mental health clinic at the school, but that's not what the school is saying. How did they announce this what was their announcement? And that's another part of the story. They didn't announce this until a day before the meeting about it.
Correct. At 3:30 on Monday, I got a text message from a former board member saying, "Hey, did you see this?" And I looked and I said, "No, I've never seen it." And it was a message on a Facebook group of certain parents. I'm not on that group. And they were saying, "We're going to talk about this clinic." And I checked on the agenda and there was a line item making reference to a memorandum of understanding between the district and IHA Health. So
And that's it.
yes, that's all there was. There was no backup. There was no copy of the memorandum, no supporting documentation. So we rallied the troops. We kind of had an idea what it was about. And when we went to the board meeting, that's exactly what it was about.
So they didn't. I remember as a reporter back in the day when things were a little better, I could actually get like the packet of the board members. We get a packet before the meeting. I think of like all the stuff. Is
Yep.
that available nowadays or no?
There was some suggestion that it would be made available in the future, given current technology. It's a piece of cake. They have not yet made it available, so parents cannot see what is out there.
Of course not. Okay. Okay, so you didn't know what this was really until you showed up to the meeting Tuesday night, or you had an idea through talking to people?
Well, the Facebook post was by the school board president.
Oh, okay.
He referenced how we're going to talk about this great new mental health clinic they were going to put in Hillside Middle School. So we knew what it was about. We didn't know the details until we showed up at the meeting. So we heard when we got there, we heard what the details were, and they weren't great, but that's how we found
Okay. This is it. I got this from their meeting, Hillsdale Construction. So is this the school that I'm looking at?
Yeah, that is the rear right, I'm sorry, rear left, or I guess south entrance to Hillside. There was some shared space there in the past that used to be shared with the Parks and Rec department, and they sort of rolled that out as Parks and Rec got better space available to them. So it was kind of some unused space. And
Okay.
about 2 years ago, the school board, in fact, 2 years to the day, the school board was considering putting a health clinic in there with University of Michigan. And they went in and they were going to get some grant money to build some space out. Parents howled and screamed,
Okay.
rightfully so. And they actually approved it, but U of M pulled out of it.
I remember that. Yeah, I think I had you on about that, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
We were on about that. And then 2 years ago, or that was 2 years ago. And then now this year, we get this notice. It's totally different. It's not a health clinic, it's a mental health clinic. Same infirmities, same issue. They tweaked a couple things to solve some easy problems, but it's still got a lot of the same problems that the previous.
Okay. So who owns it?
The property's owned by the school district,
Okay, and the company coming in would be run by
IHA Health, which is now Trinity.
Trinity. They're a huge billion-dollar corporation.
$25 billion in annual revenue.
Okay, so they want to put a mental health I get yelled at however whatever I say, I guess. Mental health facility on the school location. It's hard for me. I'm not an architect, but does this block off the school versus the clinic, or like can kids and people go in back and forth?
Well, that's what they say. So if you look at the green section, that's a vestibule. And if you go straight through the green section, you go into the middle school. And if you go left out of the green section, you go into the mental health clinic. They didn't like calling it a mental health clinic either, except for the memorandum of understanding called it a mental health clinic or
Yeah,
a health clinic throughout the document.
yeah.
So is it blocked off from students or from third parties entering? Yes, only insofar as those doors are a block to somebody entering, which is no different than the front of the school or anyone else. The difference is here, this is an invitation for the public to be roaming around the school at that time of day. And if somebody happens to be coming out of that door, going down that hallway, and they open the door to leave, and someone happens to be standing there, they're going to walk right in.
Yeah, that's easy. Okay, so this health clinic, the purpose is what? Is it to help the community? Is it to help the students? What did they say? I listened to the meeting, but it sounds like it's like a community health and for the school.
You are correct. There was this kind of mixed messaging, like our students need mental health services, which I tend to agree.
Yeah.
But the clinic is not open during most of school hours. It's only open from 2 to 8. So school stops at that school at 3. Um, it's open to the general public. So anyone who makes an appointment can come in there. And the one carrot they offered was, well, Northville students will get preferential appointments, to which somebody asked, how's that going to work if the Northville school district doesn't know who's going there? And they didn't have an answer for it. They didn't have an answer for a lot of things because they didn't ask a lot of questions when this was presented to them. They sort of
Yeah.
took it on its face. And that has to do with the fact that we lost two very good board members, two very good friends of mine, and very different sides of the political spectrum, one on the right and one on the left. Last time around, both those two people asked a lot of questions, and when they didn't get answers, they kept asking. This group asked some questions, didn't get answers, and kind of shrugged their shoulders, says, hey, it sounds good to us. So yeah, it's got some flaws.
Wow. And I want to say it now. We all agree, you agree, I agree, mental health is a major issue. Michigan across the country is lacking help. So that is a bit, I think we can all agree on that. Mental health matters and it's a big problem.
Yeah, there's no question about that. But as I mentioned in my speech, what's the limiting factor to providing those resources? The answer is people. It's people. You don't have enough mental health professionals, especially those that specialize in adolescents, to service the clientele that you have. So how does building a space at the middle school solve that problem? The answer is it does not. It doesn't solve the problem at all. And frankly, Trinity, with their $25 billion in annual revenue, they can go wherever they want. In fact, 4 miles away, at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, they have a massive building already. And oh, by the way, on that corner, on the southwest corner, you have 100,000 square feet University of Michigan Health, and on the northeast corner, you have a massive building that's Corewell Health. So the area is saturated with healthcare providers. I get the concept of the clinic in the urban area, and that it's sort of neat. That's a very different question than here. Here, the big flaw, well, a couple of the big flaws. One is it's just not necessary. You could be 4 miles. You drive 4 miles. You're going to drive your kid to the middle school at 5 p.m., 2 hours after it closes. How different is that than driving your kid to 7 Mile and Haggerty, which is 4 miles away? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So I mean, kids do need mental health help. And some people may be watching us right now saying, "Oh, you don't want kids to get help." What is the concern? As a parent, and there were several who spoke at the meeting, in addition to you, many were concerned about the transparency. Others were concerned about what will the students get access to, or will parents be involved? I assume that's a big part of the
Yeah,
questions.
the biggest concern by far are the lack of three things. Number one is parental consent. Okay. There was a discussion of whether or not they would schedule appointments with kids without their parents knowing consent. Okay. They did not answer that question in the affirmative. They hemmed and hawed around it. And I know personally that IHA Trinity uses a system that does not um, guarantee that the 13-year-old and up, 14-year-old and up, I think it is, has their parents' permission, period. The second one is transparency. So, for example, if a student comes home and they've got a slip in their bag and mom says, what is that? Oh, I don't want to tell you. Can the parent call the school and say, hey, I'd like to know what's going on? The
Yeah.
school won't tell them, and Trinity won't tell them. They all hide behind
Is
HIPAA.
But is HIPAA, that's a big question that people watching right now. I'm a parent. I have a 12 and an 8-year-old. I always thought as a parent, HIPAA's I'm their guardian. I'm their parent.
Correct.
What's the
Correct.
law? I know you're not a lawyer, or you're not a lawyer, right?
I am a lawyer, and
You are a lawyer. Yeah, there you
I
go.
am a lawyer, and the provision that they're hiding behind is there's a state law in Michigan that had to do with prenatal conditions. That is to say, if a girl was 13 and she was 14 and she was pregnant, she could go do things sort of without telling her parents. Okay, you can argue whether that's a good thing or a bad thing or not, but that's not the case here. This is about having mental health services without telling your parents, without the parents getting consent, and without the parents even knowing that it's going on. So there could be a whole series of events and activities that are completely unknown to a parent. And any good provider will tell you it's not going to be a satisfactory situation with their patient if the parents don't know and aren't on board. But there are a group of parents, there are a group of activists who say, if you do not do as we want you to do with your kids, we're going to figure out a way to do it anyway. See, as an example, Rockford Public Schools getting sued over the name change and sex
Yep.
change that they didn't let the parents know about.
Yep.
This is basically an invitation to do the same thing.
So in Michigan, what's the magic age for that? 13?
14.
14. So if I have a 14-year-old, they can go seek mental or medical care without me knowing, but they can't like get an abortion, right? Or no?
That's an open question. I don't know the answer to the last
Okay.
because that's been sort of prohibited from schools for a long time.
Yeah, not in
I-
schools,
I'll
but
give you an example. My kids are, I have two kids that are 18.
okay.
When they were 14, my daughter, we missed a physical for my daughter. And I got a call from the University of Michigan. I said, hey, they said, you missed an appointment. And I said, I didn't see the appointment on the chart. And they said, well, you don't because your daughter's 14. And I said, she's 14. She doesn't drive herself. No, that's, well, our policy. I said, well, let me explain to you my policy. My policy is you don't get to use my insurance unless I know about it. So if you send something in and I didn't know about it, I'm going to direct the insurance company to reject it as not authorized because you don't get to use my insurance without my authorization.
Wow.
They said, oh, hang on, click, click, click. Now you have access to the chart. Go ahead. And it's like, so it's not a requirement of law that they hide it from parents. It's an option. They can, but they don't have to. Now, if you want to have your IHA clinic at 7 in Haggerty and you want to set up your rules, you're a $25 billion company. You can have your own policies. Parents can make their own decision. But if you're putting that clinic in a public school, it's completely legitimate for the public school to say, I know how you normally do things, but we have a lot of parents who are concerned. You must get the parents' permission before scheduling something. And the school board looked at that concern and said, no, we're not doing that.
You would think, yeah, let me play this. This is from their meeting.
The
Oh, hold on here.
therapist would be
Oh,
in
hold on,
the
let me rewind
space
it. I
no earlier than 2 p.m., no later
on,
than
Ellen.
8 p.m. So there's a window of
Right
time,
there.
and they make
Hold
their
on, let's
own
listen.
schedule. So they're, if I had mentioned before, they do online and virtual and in-person sessions. And I guess it's important to be very clear with those that might be interested. This is not a school-based health center.
Okay, that right there.
This is not a school-based health center. The therapist would be in the space no earlier than 2 p.m., no later than 8 p.m. So there's a...
Okay, she said it's not a school-based health center. It's at a school.
It's not a school-based health center. It's a school-based almost health center. Darby Hoppenstadt, who is reading that, has no more claim to the English language than you or I. This is an attempt to spin what the school district is doing by telling us that the red flag is not a red flag. It's a maroon banner. And she can try as she might, and she did later in the meeting as well. I'm sorry, the terms and conditions the parents raised as an issue 2 years ago, and they were not just raised by parents. They were raised by parents and subsequently by board members. Like, this is an easy one. Do you need the parents' consent to move forward? And the answer was, no, we don't. Because we think the school district think, well, if your parents aren't giving your kids the help that they need, well, darn it, we're going to give it for you. And that really sets a lot of parents on edge, because when I signed my kids up to go to public school, I did not sign them over to the schools. I said, go educate my child. I did not say you are the healthcare provider, the clothier, the person feeding them. None of that is what I signed up for.
Yeah, I'm looking at the board, but it passed, correct?
It did. It passed on a 7-0 vote.
7-0 vote. So we're looking at all the board right there. So it passed. Now, I would hope, you would think that, they want the best. They say they want the best for children. They want mental health. But the worry is, and the fear, and it's happened across the country, that things have slipped through the cracks. So you and other parents that I heard, you don't trust, I guess, that transparency is going to happen.
No, they have demonstrated no track record in transparency with parents in that regard. If they did, they would have held what we did. I sat on my school board for 8.5 years. When we had complicated issues like this, controversial issues, we would hold town hall, right? We'd get together in a school, and it would be we'd start at 5:00 and end it whenever it ended. And we'd have every person there involved, and we'd answer questions, and we'd take suggestions. And if we had to do it more than one time, we'd do it more than one time. The problem is they don't want to talk about it, because they know that the concerns are legitimate. And oh, by the way, just don't sign the MOU. Tell them these are our terms and conditions. You must not do this. You must not do that. You must do the next thing. The first iteration of this, they tried to call a mental health clinic too. And we said, who's going to be working there? Like, what type of person? Right. And the answer was, well, it's a nurse practitioner. I said, what does a nurse practitioner have to do with mental health services? And the solution was, of course, to say to the provider, if you're going to have someone there, they have to be, these are the criteria. And last time around, they didn't do it. This time around, same concerns with parental notification, parental transparency, and the ability for parents to understand what's going on. And they just said, well, yeah, that's not part of our plan. And we want to have this result. So this is what we're doing.
So is the high school near there? Or it's not, is it? Or no?
It is not. And it's interesting because the original iteration was also at Hillside, because Hillside is our only middle school that's in Oakland County. So there was an Oakland County based grant that they were trying to use. The other middle school and the high school are in Wayne County. Okay. And Wayne County is not going to give a grant to put a health clinic in one of the wealthiest areas of Wayne County. Yeah. Put it where it belongs. I mean, there, like I said, there are places where this is necessary and a good thing. This is not one of them, and it lacks the some basic functions that parents demand.
What age is middle school kids? What are they? What is that?
Oh, let's see. They would be 10 through or 11 through 14, I believe, in my
Okay.
district.
So let's give you a scenario. You have a 14-year-old at the school. They sign up to go to a counseling session there. Does the counselor or does the school have any requirement at all to tell the parents that that child was being counseled?
No. And that's
No.
a problem. And that's a problem. So kid comes in. This is the real problem. And the parents are worried about this. In other districts across the country, there have been situations where teachers have been caught and counselors have been caught red-handed saying in as many words, if those parents don't agree with us on things like gender transition, we're going to do it anyway. Okay. And they can have a student come up and the student says, I have these issues. And the teacher could say, this is what I'm going to do. And they can give a phone number. And the kid's got a cell phone, and the kid can pick up the phone and call. And after school, the kid walks from the middle school, walks around the building, and has these services, and the parent doesn't know. And not just the parent doesn't know, the parent can't know. If the
Can't.
parent calls Trinity and says, did my child get service at your facility? They're going to say, sorry, HIPAA can't tell you.
So it's up to the child to just let it out there. And
Right.
you probably heard the argument, I've had this with you before. People watching this will say, well, what about the child who's being abused at home or the child who's being assaulted or whatever, that they need to have this confidentiality? But there are laws in place for that sort of thing, correct?
Yes, very, very strict.
How do you answer that to people?
Oh, it's good. That there is a very strict set of laws around who is what they call a mandatory reporter. Okay, they include, it's broader than you think. I was a softball coach. As a softball coach, I'm a mandatory reporter.
Oh, wow.
Girl shows up at my softball game and she's got a black eye, and I say, you know what? I've been at practice with you, and I know you didn't get hit in the face. You know what? Someone's getting a phone call, and that's what it's supposed to be. Teachers are that, counselors are that, healthcare professionals are that. So there's already that net in place in the case of abuse or even suspicion of abuse. You can have times where a kid says, I fell down the stairs and's got a bruised up face, and you'll get a phone call and be like, hey, can you help me out about this? And they take that very seriously. This is not the same thing. It has nothing to do with that. This has to do with providing healthcare services without parental consent, notice, or knowledge.
Yeah, and I have a good relationship. She's 12 with my daughter, who knows if that'll change, hopefully not, but she's very open about stuff. But and I, because, and doctors or whatever, I go into doctor appointments with her, and most therapists they're good people out there, but as a parent, I always want to be involved in what is coming into her brain, and, because I shape her values and ethics and morals, and I think most parents are good people, and to not, yeah, it's just a strange situation. It's
Yeah, I mean, look, to say that our solution to this problem, is that because there are 0.1% of the parents who are bad actors, and they're bad actors, there are some that are out there.
oh
What
yeah.
we're going to do is we're going to take the rights away from the other 99%. That's not a solution to the problem. The other part that bothers parents a lot is that there are solutions on the mental health side, and they're mostly on the causative side. This is saying the kids have mental health problems, let's try to solve them. I say, if the kids have mental health problems, let's try to prevent them. Like, for example, at our high school, do we allow cell phones during the day? Yes, we do.
Well,
There's a lot of evidence that says that little cellular device is causing all kinds of mental health problems.
yeah.
Do we require our students at the high school level to be the first to arrive? Yes, we do. So we have kids get up at 4 o'clock in the morning so that they can attend a sports practice before their 7 o'clock start time for school, so that the teachers can end the class by 2:20. I don't know about your job. My paying job does not have me get off the clock at 2:20.
Yeah.
There are mental health things we can do, and to say that the only thing we can do is wait until the problem happens and then provide a clinic that doesn't provide these things to parents is ridiculous. Let's try solving the problem.
Yeah. Last thing, when during public comments, the board doesn't have to answer anybody's questions. They just listen. I listened to the meeting, and it does, there wasn't an exchange of conversation. It was, you and several other parents just talking, but there was no answers from the board. So they should have at least, like the one woman said, I forget her name, tabled it, set it for a month, have a community discussion, get everyone together.
Right. Yes. All things. Oh, by the way, all things that our board, when I was on the board, we did multiple times. If you want a controversy in a school, change the boundaries of elementary schools and tell parents you were going to this elementary, now
Oh
you're going
boy.
to that. It's really rough. And it was going to be, and we knew it was needed, and it was going to be a long conversation. So we didn't try to hide it. We said, look, come to this meeting. Show us where you would put the boundary. We'll explain you the problem. One elementary school has 670 kids. The elementary school has 340 kids. We have to solve that problem. How are we going to do it? And you listen. We are a public school, okay? We are responsible to the public. The way the org chart works is the superintendent reports to the board, who reports to the voters. And there's ways to do things the right way, and they haven't done it, and they didn't even try.
They didn't put out a survey to parents or an informational email or letter. Hey, parents, come to the meeting because we're going to talk about this.
Right. I mean, they sent out the same week, they sent out a half a dozen notices about the pending rebranding and new website we were going to have, but they didn't send out a single notice about we're going to put a mental health clinic in one of your middle schools, whether you like it or not.
Last thing I just thought of, I keep saying last thing, but could they say if students use it, parents have to be notified? Can they say that?
Absolutely. And they could say to IHA or Trinity, look, we understand that this is your normal procedure. We get it, but you're co-locating in one of our buildings, and here are the rules: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So that's not a Michigan law that they.
Right. The Michigan law is not mandatory in that regard. It's permissive. They can accept that as legally binding, but they don't have to.
They don't have to, but a lot of the health systems are scared probably of lawsuits or whatever it's going to be. But the school can say, you're coming on our property, you're going to follow our rules. If not, get out.
That's right. If not, don't come. Because if they're really doing mental health services, okay, most mental health services are not provided through a hospital system. They're provided through private providers. And a private provider can set their own rules. I'm only going to work these hours, and they frequently do. I'm only going to work these hours. I only want these types of patients. But you could say, I'm going to look for a provider. Hey, newsflash, you could use some of your 30% fund balance to actually hire these people directly.
Yeah.
And they could work for the school district, and you could have them there as often as you want. But when you do that, you're going to have to let parents know, and you're going to have to give parents transparency to the process. And I think, frankly, that scares the school a little bit.
Jeez. Well, this has happened. Hopefully nothing bad comes of this, but parents are probably just finding out about it now. And it's things like this that continue to send kids homeschooling or to different schools. It just seems transparency is a big problem. It doesn't seem like it's getting any better.
No, I mean, we after COVID, I was on the school board for 8.5 years.
Yeah.
During that period of time, we raised our number of full-time students by almost 500.
Wow.
And that was mostly in the area of declining birth rate, and population growth isn't great because we're mostly a developed community. It was by getting a higher percentage of school-aged children. And then after COVID, we lost almost all of that. Wow. And then we lost more. And no one is with the red flag or red siren saying, hey, why are these parents choosing something else? And it has to do with a lot of that. They don't trust them. They don't trust them. And when they do look under the hood, they from time to time see things they really don't like.
Yeah. Sad.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'll put this out everywhere, and just knowledge. Parents need to get involved. No matter who you are, if you don't think you make a difference, every parent can try to make a difference.
Yeah, it's Christmas time. Every who down in Whoville. No question.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
There we go. Interesting what's happening in the Northville School District. Dr. Guillermo is watching. Guillermo Marone, sorry if I mispronounced your name, watching on Substack. Thank you very much, sir, for becoming a paid subscriber. I really appreciate that. If you're watching on Substack, in order to comment, you need to become a paid subscriber. I appreciate that because I left my job making over $100,000 a year working for the mainstream media, and now I'm independent. I just work for me. So I need your help in order to keep this going. So yeah, what do you think about that, everybody? Very, very interesting indeed. And it's too late. It's already passed. It's happening in Northville. Hopefully, obviously we said that there is a mental health problem in this country. That is absolutely true. Hopefully the people who need the help can get the help and that nothing bad comes of this. But a lot of people are saying that there's ulterior motives as to why they're putting these medical facilities and mental health places in public schools. So just wanted to run this by you. Very interesting. This was an issue a while ago, about a year ago, and now it looks like it's coming back again, once again, here in Michigan. And I'll continue to keep you updated on that as we learn more. I just checked. Dr. Guillermo says traditional effective evidence-based mental health and teenagers includes the parents. Mental health centers and schools that are standalone have no statistical outcomes. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I want to know what my kids are doing, who they're talking to, what mental health they're getting. I want to be involved in that. Here's a comment from someone watching on Substack. I'm sorry, on YouTube. His name is Vaughn Westerby says, I do not believe anyone under the age of 18 should be able to make any decision without parental consent. I live in the People's Republic of Michigan. That's according to Vaughn, with the comment right there, living in the People's Republic of Michigan. That's what he has to say. So very, 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 very funny, interesting indeed. But I understand why a lot of you are saying that sort of thing. Okay, well, I am going to get going, everybody. I just checked. There is no new information coming out of the East Coast, Providence, and Boston. A reporter that is very close to the situation has said that they have not made contact yet with the suspect at Brown University and the MIT shooting. So that is still in the air right now. They do not have a suspect in that. So we're going to keep you updated as that continues. I'll be posting on Substack and X and all the platforms as well. Coming up tomorrow night. Tomorrow night will be Keeping It Real After Hours with Katie and Dave. Katie is my wife, and we do a show after hours, and it's nothing that you might be thinking of. It's my wife and I sitting here, and we're talking about the news. We're talking about life. We're talking about parenting. And it is only for paid subscribers. So if you are not a paid subscriber, you will not be able to watch the show. That is the only thing that I put behind a paywall. Everything else is absolutely free. But that is behind a paywall because my wife will only go on camera behind a paywall. So go ahead and become a paid subscriber to support my mission of independent journalism. I want to thank everyone being here and watching whatever platform you're watching on. I want to thank you very much. Have a great evening, everyone. My prayers go out to all of you, and I will see you tomorrow night if you are a paid subscriber. Good night, everybody.